what provides.
A women's basketball player. She deserves it! She deserves.
This is unbelievable. After months of silence, Nike finally issued an apology to Caitlin Clark. Yes, this is the same Caitlin Clark who has been shattering WNBA records and dominating on the court like no one else. The apology was delivered in the form of a massive advertisement that was displayed throughout the Indiana Fever Arena and featured Caitlin herself. It sounds like a happy ending, but it wasn't so quick.
NBA, yes. Do I think if A'ja Wilson dropped a shoe and Caitlin Clark dropped a shoe today at the very same time, that Caitlin Clark would outsell A'ja's shoe by 100 times? Yes, I think that would be the...
Let's go back a little before getting into the specifics. One of the biggest names in basketball today, Caitlin Clark, inked a huge 8-year endorsement contract with Nike. That's right, $28 million. You would think that Nike would be all over it, pushing her out there to make sure she represents their brand. But oddly enough, they've been far too quiet.
Season has come and gone. And with that, Nike has not done one thing to promote her. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark.
During her debut season, Caitlin Clark was out there burning up the WNBA, but she accomplished almost nothing. No advertisements, no commercials, no new sneakers. Nothing. It seemed as though they had forgotten they had signed one of the biggest names in basketball, and fans began to question why Nike was disregarding their own star. This wasn't just a small oversight, either. It seemed as though Caitlin was being ghosted by Nike despite all the excitement surrounding her, and then Adidas suddenly stepped in. Rumor had it that Adidas, the largest sports company in the world, was considering a $30 million deal with Caitlin after realizing the lost opportunity. Can you imagine Nike, the greatest basketball player in the world, losing one of the best players to their rival Adidas? Things were getting heated, but what was truly amazing was how all of this happened at the same time. Caitlin was breaking records, becoming the first rookie in WNBA history to record a triple-double and drawing millions of fans each time she took the court. But Nike had not released a signature shoe, high-profile advertising, or any recognition. The fans couldn't believe it. It seemed strange. How come Nike, a business renowned for staying ahead of trends, was so sluggish to respond? This leads to the apology following months of silence. The real reason for this abrupt change of heart, in my opinion, is Adidas's actions. Once Adidas began sniffing around, Nike had no choice but to step up their game because they couldn't afford to lose Caitlin to a competitor, especially after signing such a huge deal with her. However, is this really an apology, or is it just Nike scrambling to save face? From the outside, it looks like Nike only started caring about Caitlin once Adidas showed interest. If that's the case, then this isn't much of an apology. It's damage control, but Caitlin Clark is worthy of much more than a banner. She is a phenomenon, and not just another basketball player. Her first season was exceptional. She led all rookies in assists and points. She became the first rookie in WNBA history to post a triple-double in steals and minutes played, and her games drew an average of over 1 million viewers, a once-in-a-generation talent. Why wasn't Nike marketing her like the superstar she is? Here, let's be honest. Nike has decades of experience marketing athletes. When LeBron James joined the NBA, they were all over him, had a signature shoe ready to go from day one, and it paid off handsomely. So, why not do the same for Caitlin? Some people speculate that Nike was more interested in promoting other celebrities, like A.A. Wilson, who is already well known in women's basketball, and didn't want to give Caitlin a signature shoe before A.A. out of concern for how it might appear. But that doesn't really make sense, does it? Why can't they promote both? It's not like Nike lacks the resources. The most peculiar aspect of all of this is that Nike has been utterly silent on Caitlin's trademark sneaker, which was meant to be included in her $28 million contract, but we haven't received any information about any release dates or updates. Rumor has it that her trademark sneaker might not even be released until 2026, which is absurd because in the world of sports, 2026 is like forever. By then, who knows how many more records Caitlin will have broken. It just doesn't make up, and let's not forget about the fans. From the beginning, Caitlin Clark's fans were outspoken in their criticism of Nike for failing on this one. Social media was ablaze with inquiries, and sports analysts were baffled. Everyone was wondering why Nike wasn't doing more to put Caitlin front and center. It's not just about selling shoes. It's about seizing an opportunity, and it seemed like Nike had missed it. However, Adidas stepped in, saw Caitlin's potential, and were willing to place a large wager on her. It wasn't just about the money either. Adidas understood what Caitlin brought to the table not only as a player but also as a brand. Simply put, she is a game changer, and Adidas wanted in on that. It's almost like they were watching her closely. Nike made a mistake and decided to seize the chance. Now, where does that leave us? Well, Nike's banner is up, but will it be enough to prevent Caitlin from leaving? Only time will tell. However, this entire situation has undoubtedly raised some serious questions about how major brands treat women's sports. Are they truly invested in it? Or are they just paying lip service when it suits them? This isn't just about one athlete in one brand. This relates to a larger problem in sports: the way female athletes are promoted and supported in comparison to their male counterparts. Caitlin Clark is a prime example of the potential in women's sports, and Nike needs to realize that if they don't, Adidas might just swoop in and take Caitlin and all that potential with them. As a result, Nike finally put up that enormous banner of Caitlin Clark at Indiana Fever Arena, which seems like a way to apologize after months of radio silence. However, let's discuss why this situation is much more significant than just a banner or a shoe deal. We're talking about a significant change in how companies like Nike and Adidas approach women's sports, and more importantly, how they might be losing out on one of the biggest stars in women's basketball history. Adidas wasn't just sitting around while Nike was busy remaining silent. They saw an opportunity and seized it. Recall the rumors that Adidas was offering Caitlin Clark a $3 million deal? That wasn't a small move for Adidas. They wanted a piece of the attention and excitement Caitlin was generating for the WNBA, and so they wanted to outbid Nike. Adidas has a reputation for seizing big sports opportunities, and Caitlin Clark was no exception. They knew that she wasn't just another athlete. She was attracting millions of viewers, setting records, and her popularity was soaring. Additionally, Adidas has a history of making bold moves like this, so they weren't going to let Nike sit back and control the market without a fight. However, while Adidas was preparing to potentially steal Caitlin from Nike, there was a more significant development in the realm of women's sports. In addition to garnering media attention on her own, Caitlin Clark was also emerging as a representation of how women's sports can attract just as much, if not more, attention than men's. It's mind-blowing that Nike didn't take advantage of this sooner, because her games were breaking viewership records, her jersey sales were skyrocketing, and fans were supporting her in a way we haven't seen in a long time. You have to wonder what Nike was thinking, because they've seen this kind of hype before with athletes like LeBron James, who had his signature shoe ready to go from the moment he stepped onto the court. But with Caitlin, they just didn't act. Was it internal politics, waiting to promote their already established stars like AA before giving Caitlin her moment? It's difficult to say for sure, but it's obvious they missed a huge opportunity. Fans didn't take this lightly, and social media was ablaze with people wondering why Caitlin Clark wasn't receiving the recognition she deserved. They were also criticizing Nike, wondering if they truly cared about women's sports in general and the WNBA in particular. This is where Adidas steps in. They saw a gap and wanted to close it by giving Caitlin a $30 million deal. They weren't just trying to outdo Nike. They were also trying to demonstrate that they were serious about women's sports and were willing to invest in Caitlin, not just because she's a fantastic player, but also because they knew she had the potential to boost their brand. Adidas appeared to be playing the long game and might even win. Let's now discuss Caitlin's influence on the WNBA. Her performances in the WNBA playoffs attracted over 1 million viewers on average, which is unprecedented for the league. She wasn't just breaking records, though. She was also bringing attention to women's basketball in a way that no one else had done before. The numbers speak for themselves. People wanted to watch Caitlin Clark play, and they were tuning in by the millions. That kind of star power doesn't come around very often, and Nike should have recognized it from the beginning, but it took Adidas expressing interest before they finally stepped up, and even then, all we've received so far is a banner. Don't get me wrong, the banner is cool, but where are the commercials and the Caitlin Clark signature shoe? Where's the big marketing push that you'd expect for someone who just had one of the best rookie seasons in WNBA history? It's not just about Caitlin either. This whole situation shines a light on how women's sports are treated compared to men's. If a male athlete had a season like Caitlin's, you can bet there would have been commercials, shoes, and marketing campaigns everywhere. But for some reason, Caitlin Clark, despite being one of the biggest names in basketball, was overlooked. The question we need to ask is, why is it because women's sports still don't get the same level of attention and respect as men's? Or is it because brands like Nike are still figuring out how to market female athletes on the same level as their male counterparts? Either way, it's clear that something needs to change. Caitlin Clark's story is a reminder that women's sports are on the rise, and brands that don't recognize that are going to get left behind. Adidas saw it, and they're ready to make a move. Conversely, it appears that Nike is playing catch-up. They have one of the biggest names in women's basketball on their roster, but they have done very little to promote her. It's frustrating to say the least. So where do we go from here? Will Caitlin stay with Nike or accept that $30 million deal with Adidas? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. If Nike wants to keep her, they must do more. They must demonstrate that they fully support Caitlin Clark and that they are willing to invest in her, just like Adidas is. Additionally, let's not forget about the fans, who have been vocal from the beginning, criticizing Nike for not giving Caitlin the credit she deserves. In the end, this whole incident has sparked a larger discussion about how women's sports are promoted, and social media has been ablaze with support for Caitlin. It's evident that people want to see more of her in ads, campaigns, and yes, in a signature shoe. Caitlin Clark is just one example, but there are many other female athletes who aren't receiving the recognition they deserve. It is hoped that companies like Nike will take note of this and begin treating women's sports with the same respect and investment as they do men's. So, whether she stays with Nike or switches to Adidas, one thing is certain: her future is bright. Whoever ends up signing her will have a superstar on their hands, and the fans will be closely watching. Nike, on the other hand, better hope that banner isn't their final move, because Caitlin Clark is too big of a star to be left in the background. What do you think? Is Nike's enormous banner of Caitlin Clark an honest apology, or just a last-minute attempt to prevent her from switching to Adidas? If you liked my breakdown, please let me know in the comments section below. For additional updates on the newest sports stories, subscribe as well. I appreciate you viewing, and I hope to see you again soon.